Hi, my name is Abigail Osorio. I'm a freshman and a first-year Humanities student. When Mr. Daly said that we had to start thinking about and picking our projects, I was reading The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas for the fifth time. The novel was written back in 2017. It's about a teenage girl who combats racism and police brutality after witnessing her childhood friend get shot by a cop. At the same time that I was reading this novel, George Floyd's death was very recent. I would go on social media and read through comments of people lacking empathy towards the situation, and it was pretty frustrating. That's when I realized that I wanted to do something with books that spread awareness on issues in society today. Books that could teach us to be more empathetic towards these serious issues. I realized that there are so many books out there in which their main purpose is to do just that. Spread awareness on these important topics and issues. Some of those topics and issues being racial injustice, sexual abuse, bullying, body negativity, etc. I was really excited about this project, and one of the first things I did was DM some authors on Instagram so that I could get some feedback on my project idea. The only author that responded was Amber Smith. She was incredibly nice and loved my idea. She said that if I ever needed anything, she'd be there and to keep her updated, and I did. I also attended many Zoom meetings she would hold where she'd talk about her book, The Way I Used to Be, which is a book about a girl who was sexually abused right before high school and how much it affected her life. Those talks during the meetings were honestly one of the most powerful and inspirational talks I've ever heard. I've been to meetings where survivors would share their story and talk about how much Amber's book meant to them. Amber was a huge help, and the people I met and talked to were very encouraging. Also, throughout the year, I kept on reading and doing my own research on issues such as sexual abuse and body negativity. I worked on presentations with my research displayed, thinking that I'd end up using it all sometime during my project, and never really did. One was on sexual violence in the book The Way I Used to Be, and another was just a thread on my favorite books and why I think people should read them. I definitely feel like I rushed into making these presentations, and that's something that I've learned about myself. I tend to rush into things a bit too quickly. I got bored quickly, and I didn't have that motivation to keep on adding the information I was learning onto these slides. I found that I just enjoyed reading about it and talking about it with others. One of the last things I did during this year was create an Instagram account for my project where I plan to post consistently. I only have one post up there. It's something I posted back in April, which was Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. I created a thread on books people can read to learn more about sexual assault experiences and hopefully inspire them to take action. A few things I wanted to do with my project was create a book club where I'd be able to talk about these books and compare the issues in it to real life. I also wanted to create crew necks that had something to do with each book and sell them to people in my book club. Then all the proceeds would go to an organization that targets and solves the issue presented in the book. I started a lot of planning and did a lot of research on different ways I could start a book club during a pandemic, but never really got to it. I also talked to Mr. Daly about my crew neck idea, and he told me that my project would then be turning into a business project, and I really didn't want to go there. There were still so many questions that needed to be answered, and it just seemed pretty unrealistic at the time, considering I wasn't sure where the money would come from and how I would create these crew necks. Around the time I finished creating the Instagram account, I had feedback night, and that's where everything changed and I started to realize a lot. During feedback night, people were asking me how my project was different from other projects and organizations in the country doing the same thing. They asked where I planned to go with my project, and I couldn't really answer that question at the time. So after feedback night, I started to think about where I was heading with this whole thing. I went on Instagram and found projects and organizations similar to my project with millions of followers. I thought about the presentations I made and how I never even used them. I thought about how much I love to read, but didn't really enjoy putting all of that knowledge into words in presentations because I'd much rather just tell you what I know in person. I thought about how everything honestly started to feel more like a school project, and it wasn't where I wanted to be. I then decided to make my project smaller because then I know it'll be more meaningful to me. I plan to keep on reading and doing my own research. This could be something I continue doing on my own time. In addition to this little project, I want to start something new. I plan on thinking about different possibilities over summer break. Maybe it'll sort of be a self-help project because I know I still have so much to work on. I still plan on incorporating service and activism into it because they're still truly very important to me. When it comes to the habits of mine that I've improved on during the course of this year, I could probably mention all of them. I think one huge one is accountability. I mentioned that those presentations I made were never really used, and the Instagram account I made was also sort of a failure considering not many viewed my first post. I also never really got to making a book club. I rushed into things without planning it out all carefully. I believe that I did succeed, though, when it comes to everything I learned this year. That's where the habit of mind of confidence comes in. Confidence is something that I've always struggled with. I tended to doubt things when things didn't go the way I wanted them to. But just because I've decided to make this project smaller doesn't mean I haven't improved in the confidence area. I know that I now do have faith in my existing capabilities, and I'm excited to bring everything I've learned my first year into my second. I don't know what my project will look like next year, but I know I'll be able to find something, fingers crossed. Going off accountability and confidence, I've also improved on reflectiveness. I've looked back at all the mistakes I've made while working on my project, and I've thought about ways I can improve in my next project. One thing I plan on not doing is rush into things a bit too quickly. I plan on taking my time going through the planning process. I plan on working harder to improve my persistence and responsibility as well. The last habit of mine I want to mention is gratitude. There are so many things I am grateful for, including all the wonderful people I have met throughout this year. I'm grateful because although I never got to really far, I learned so much rereading and doing my own research. I know that what I've learned is going to help me explain to others why it's important to have an idea of what people can be going through. I'm very excited for next year, and I know I'll be going into it a lot more prepared. I've learned quite a lot about myself, and I know I've improved. Thank you.